really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
That's why it's really important to have a plan. Have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is impermanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so where you can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
And we are live. Welcome, you filthy degenerates to another episode of the Degen Roundtable. As always, thank you to those who are joining us live. Thank you for joining us, spending a little bit of your time with us today. And also, thank you to our lovely, handsome panelists today. Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Doing all right. On here, yeah, we've had a fun little week in crypto, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But yeah, no, this has been absolutely crazy. It's been just about every single day we have been streaming now, and I thought last week was kind of wild when we were basically every single day again. But then this week, more things keep popping up, and it's like, wow, this this train is not quitting anytime soon, is it?
Been a hilarious week with crypto. Will, my friend, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, guys? I'm doing good. I just got done hanging out with some friends of mine up in the northern part of Dallas. Lots of shooting, lots of sparring. It's a good time. It's an excellent weekend. I missed out on the Hex Meetup, but you know, I heard that it was quite fun. My brother was briefing me on some of the things that happened there, but only got some quick details. So things are going good. Things are going great. Happy to be here.
Hey, catch the next one, brother. You know. Let's go ahead and say hi to the chat. Chat, what's going on, chat? Oh, look at that. Choco Taint. I'm surprised Choco Taint is sober for this one. Glad to have you here, buddy. Paul Sachs, nice to see you here. Moonpill Rational Optics, as always, good to see you, brother. I don't think it's going to zero. I don't know if you've been watching the charts, my friend, but it's doing the opposite. It's heading up to infinity and beyond. Nate over here, yeah, man. I hope you guys are praying for Camel Newton. He's up in Camel Heaven. Okay.
Camel Newton.
Russ, good to see you here, brother. Centurion, Tam, as always, good to see you, my dear. Hey, Centurion, with the first good question of the day. Do you guys think Pocahontas knew what she was doing when she approved the flag? Well,
the flag?
Now that
Pocahontas.
Oh, Will doesn't know yet. So now that you mention it, Centurion, that is one of the quick little tidbits that we're going to go over here before we get into the meat and potatoes of the article. And this is great because Will hasn't seen it yet. He's going to get a kick out of this one, man. Drip Fortune party launching now. I mean, this party's launching now, brother. You're kind of late, but thanks for joining us, my friend. All right, let's see.
Will's face over here.
Oh my god, I'm reading this article, dude. Okay, we're gonna cover it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay, before we get into this, before we get into the degeneracy of the articles, I would like to share with you folks a few things that I found over on Instagram. Because you know, the Bears are kind of down bad. Right? They're really down bad. They were calling for 10,000, and then they were calling for 15, and then they were calling for 20. And then they were calling for 30, and now we are at $52,000. We just had the weekly close, and this is the highest weekly close of the year and since the bull market started. Ethereum just hit a new cycle high, right? So, yeah, Bears down bad. Here is something that I want to share with you guys of exactly how I think the Bears are feeling at the current moment. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you folks.
We can do memes. Hell yeah.
Oh, these are better than, well, actually, it is kind of a meme, but
Jay
all right,
Bradley over here is saying it's still going to zero.
All right, here's the first one. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
This is how the Bears are right now.
What?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. 뭐냐 100만 원 남았냐? 뭔데 이거? 아니 씨 못해! 아니 나 손절했는데.
Jay, we're gonna need you to translate for us here because I don't speak it a Chinese or the Korean or the whatever this is. I think it's Korean.
Yeah. No, for sure. As you guys can see, this is my sister Ling Ling. She's fairly distressed because all of her shorts just got liquidated. So, yeah, man, send prayers. Okay,
Damn.
she's gonna start a.
Sorry,
she's
Ling
gonna
Ling.
start a GoFundMe.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
But the Bulls are doing something the complete opposite. So let me share with you guys what the Bulls are doing, because this is what the Bulls are doing with their altcoins as soon as Bitcoin started to pump.
I love it. This is great.
What do you guys think, man? Looks like the CCP is doing something right over there. That looks like a fun classroom,
awesome, bro. Why can't, man? China's got something going on pretty good. I don't know what. I'm guessing that's a Chinese classroom, but fuck yeah.
Looks like a Chinese classroom to me, man. I don't know, but you know what they say, man. All of us Asians look alike, so it might be Chinese, might be Vietnamese. Who knows?
Chinese or Japanese? Oh
all
my
I know is
God.
they all end in E's.
Dude, that's hilarious. Man, they're having a lot of fucking fun. This is what it's all about, man. All the crypto bros getting together, like getting led by Bitcoin. Oh, this is great. I love it. What a good
Except
meme.
XRP. Oh wait, no, I see XRP right there. XRP on the left.
Oh, is it having fun? Okay. All right.
Yeah, XRP on the left there, man. And one last thing. So some of you guys might know it was Valentine's Day last Wednesday, and you know, we like the red pill here at the DGen Roundtable. So we always give the guys a lot of alpha, but I think sometimes we have to give the girls a little bit alpha too. So here's my other sister, Ming Ming. Okay, here to give you guys some alpha.
Ling Ling and Ming Ming.
Ling Ling and Ming Ming. All right.
I always try to make his penis hard, not his life.
It's very valid.
Yes, make his dick hard, not his life. So he will make your pussy wet, not your eyes.
Well, that is some good alpha there for the females. For all the women in the chat.
Oh man. Oh, what do you guys think? You think you think she nailed the? You think she nailed it? You think she'll find a husband?
Nailed it. Nailed it. That's great. I love it.
Oh man.
Oh my. Hey, you know, over here at the round table, we like to have fun. All right.
I love the delivery too. It was just so like,
yeah.
Well, but of course this is the answer.
Of course.
You know,
right?
That's great.
The cousin over there is like, yeah, valid, sis. You got it. That's exactly what you should
poetry.
do. Absolute pure fucking poetry. Yes, moon-pilled rational optics. Pure poetry indeed. Russ says he's in love. Careful, she might be a ladyboy.
Yep. This is something you got to check for nowadays.
Hey now, YouTube, don't ban us, okay? Nothing wrong with ladyboys. Nothing wrong with them.
To each their own, Jay.
Exactly. Okay, let's see. We got a few more people rolling in here. Bradley, a glowing endorsement for leverage trading. Absolutely, man. Hey, like I said, send prayers to my sister because she's down bad. I told her I will no longer entertain. Her bad habits with leverage. Okay. I'm no longer going to enable that kind of behavior. All right. Let's see who else. No Money Mike. Hey, my friend, you're late, but better late than never. So very good to see that you can make it here with us, my friend. Okay, so with the memes out of the way, we're gonna go. There's a few small things that I want to share with you folks here before we get into the articles, right? I'll do a little bit of TA for you guys later if time permits. But we do have quite a bit of things to go over, so I wanted to bring everybody up to speed about what's been going on in the crypto space before we get into a little bit of TA. If you did want to see TA, I did market update a few days ago, which is only accessible if you are a member of our Telegram. It is the first, if I believe it's the most recent pinned message on our Telegram group. So if you're not in there and you're dying to see what we've been up to in terms of the technicals and the charts, then go ahead and scan that little QR code at the right below Mr. Will Stevenson, and yeah, you'll get access to our Telegram. You'll be able to access that video. So first thing that I wanted to present to you guys is a little bit of a case study, right? And I named this case study. Let's see, what did I name this case study? How to spot FUD within the crypto market. So let me share you guys this story shared with us by our good friend, Battle Hardened Sniper. He's always dropping us really good alpha in the Telegram chat.
Hell yeah, dude.
Right?
Good job. We appreciate it, Sniper. Hell yeah, bro.
Good man.
We love our resident Aussie taking care.
Yes, sir. So where is it? Here we go. So this comes from another Telegram channel called Crypto News. Right. So a lot of you guys who are in the channel might have already seen my rant on this, but here's it is, right? So this is a comparison between the brand new so this is an on-chain chart of all of the new Bitcoin addresses that have been created over the past few months, right? And this little article goes on to say, as the price of Bitcoin increases, there is a notable decline in the creation of new Bitcoin addresses daily. This trend points towards a lack of retail participation in the current Bitcoin bull rally, suggesting that the recent price action is primarily fueled by institutional demand. Okay, so before I give my thoughts on this, chat and panel, why is this article here FUD? Why is it nonsense? Can you guys give me your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts on it?
Well, it's because they're just straight up telling you that, like, oh, it's not as popular anymore. That's basically what they're trying to say. But it's like, okay, well, the people who have already been in Bitcoin and are now in the further crypto space, they've already got wallets, you know? And I guess you could just say, hey, you know, people are not actually creating more wallets. But I mean, you have ETFs now. That's where the majority of everybody's going to go from traditional space, right? So the people who are in crypto are already in crypto. They don't need to make any more.
Will, you got any thoughts on it?
I don't have anything crazy. I just want to say that, like, just because growth of like new people is slowing down, does like it just doesn't seem like a. Well, I don't know. I'm being kind of pedantic here. But I'm just
Sorry,
thinking.
brother.
Yeah. No, basically the same thing as Nate, man.
Gotcha. So actually, look at this. Centurion asks if there's any on-chain data to back this up. That little chart there, brother, was actually the on-chain metric that particular Telegram channel was measuring. So they're not lying. The on-chain data doesn't lie, right? So there are indeed fewer addresses, Bitcoin addresses being created.
Yeah, the numbers, the raw data doesn't lie, but like the way that you present it, like, is how you can tell a story and how you can sell someone on an idea and a concept. And just because the numbers are correct doesn't mean like the way that they're presenting it is accurate to the relevance.
Nope.
You know,
you got it. You nailed it right in the head, brother. And Twinkie, shout out to Twinkie. He's in the chat. Glad to see you here, brother.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Will nailed it right there in the head. Just because that data is objectively true doesn't mean that it supports whatever story that they are telling. And the reason for that, and Nate alluded to this a little bit as well, is because, do you know the reason why there wasn't an influx of new Bitcoin addresses being created? It's because there are ETFs, which means, hello, what are the ETFs created for? Who are they created for? They are created for those people who could not be bothered by creating their own damn wallets to begin with. They don't want, let's say, they don't want exposure to a risk asset like Bitcoin that doesn't really have a lot of regulatory certainty around it. They don't want to have to sign up for an exchange because they might not have the same security or fallbacks as a regulated asset might be, like an ETF. And so what do? They get exposure to that kind of risk asset through what, ladies and gentlemen and ladyboys? they get exposure to crypto through the ETFs, which means what? It means they don't need to create a new freaking wallet, right? So this story is trying to make it seem like, so they're trying to make the correlation that because there aren't new addresses being created for Bitcoin, that the ETFs were a failure at bringing new market participants into this space, which is obviously nonsense, right? Because we know exactly what the functions of the ETFs are for. Will, did you have something, sir?
Yes, I did. Well, actually, I don't have something, but Mr. Battle Hardened Sniper in our Telegram has made a comment, and he said that like we also need to consider that there's a ton of noobs that are just holding on exchanges, right? So like people open up a Coinbase account and then they buy Bitcoin. That a new Bitcoin wallet isn't created. There's just more Bitcoin added to the Coinbase like massive wallet, and they use their own little private ledger system to determine who gets the stuff. So Mr. Sniper is absolutely right in that respect. And so like most people that are brand new joining Bitcoin, like right now, like again, this is just like badly presented information, right? They're trying to sell a story for whatever reason, and they're being dishonest in the way that they present the information.
Yep.
Yeah, and think about this too, like BlackRock and all these other institutions, they're still buying a lot more. That number is still going up, right? So who's buying it at this point? Who's actually using the wallets to buy the Bitcoin? So when they sit there and they want to say, "Oh, there's no new wallets," well, how come the price just keeps going up then? Does it really matter at that point?
Yeah, precisely. Sniper made a very good point. There are no Bitcoin addresses because all of the Bitcoin that BlackRock and Fidelity and all these other asset managers are buying, they're being custodianed by who? One entity, or at least the majority entity when it comes to the custodian services, right? And that's going to be Coinbase. So yeah, like when I see stuff like this, especially from a freaking Telegram channel called Crypto News, right? Like we've spoken about this before. I don't attribute to malice what I can first attribute to stupidity or ignorance, right? But when you see this article on a place called Crypto News, you'd think that they'd vet the people writing these articles to begin with, right? That they'd be familiar with this kind of technology. And so, like, as somebody that, like me, I don't work in this space, right? So it's like, if I know that it, like, just because there are no new wallet addresses doesn't mean there isn't an influx of people in this space by virtue of them getting exposure through this space by the ETF, right? If I know something simple like that, then I would like to think that somebody working over at Crypto News would know that kind of information, right? But
hire me, I'll do it.
Right, so it's like it's either they do know that and they're presenting this information to get clicks, like as type of like FUD information, or they're actually ignorant, which would really make me worry because they're working for an outlet like Crypto News.
Yep.
So
I think Jay, you might be going a little bit. So let me back up here. The reason why they're doing what they're doing isn't quite so much important as just the simple plain fact that they're doing it, right? So we've caught them essentially either lying or being stupid. And so we could speculate as to why they're doing it, right? But like at the end of the day, like the reason why they're doing this is irrelevant to the fact that they are doing it. So now that we know that they're being stupid or being liars or trying to send an incorrect message, like we can now be like, oh, okay, these guys, they're silly gooses. So we can use their lying and we can use their stupidity almost as a signal of sorts, right? We can interpret this as part of like the amalgamation of all of the input that we get from everywhere on Twitter, on Telegram, on the legacy media, the newer media, like all sorts of things. This stuff compared against stuff that we know to be like, oh, okay, this is a signal. This is something that tells me where this, that, and the other point in the marketplace. So
precisely
something to consider.
Precisely. Hey, but you know me, man. I always like to extend people some grace. But you're right. Like whatever the intention is, it's out there. So
Yep. They're wrong.
Bradley, you're correct, sir. Occam's razor is still rather sharp. That is absolutely correct, my friend. And here's the thing. So here's another piece of news that would go against what Crypto News was talking about, because here is something. It's a tweet from Watcher Guru that I'm going to share with you folks here. It's about BlackRock and it's about Fidelity. And so here's the tweet here. This was on the 15th, so a few days ago. BlackRock and Fidelity now hold 191,657 Bitcoin, worth over 10 billion for their ETFs. Which means what, ladies and gentlemen? It means that over the span of a few months, BlackRock and Fidelity, their Bitcoin purse now matches MicroStrategy's. I think it's a little bit greater. MicroStrategy might have them by like maybe a few hundred, but I think BlackRock and Fidelity are matched 1-to-1 with MicroStrategy now, right? So, like, the demand for Bitcoin is not decreasing. It is just it just keeps going up. Okay, so the reason why here at the Roundtable, we always encourage you guys to use these tools, use the information that we give you, and use it to try and attain independence for yourself when you're researching out in the space. The reason for that is precisely because of news articles like this, right? Anybody with a modicum of critical thinking ability who've been paying attention to the ETFs, who know what their functions are, what they are for, can see something like this and immediately call bullshit, right? But if you're somebody who just kind of like, you know, lackadaisical, wishy-washy in your study, you're going to see something like this and like, oh yeah, you're right. There's no new addresses being created. That means the ETFs failed, right? Because that's what they were supposed to be for. They were supposed to bring an influx of people into the market. And so they must have failed, right? But if you're somebody who knows what the function of the ETFs are and what they're meant to do, who they're for, you're going to see that. You're like, yeah, buddy, you're not fooling me. So it's just
you have the tweet pulled up on screen. You don't have the other article still, right?
Oh yeah. I just okay. Wanted to share this because it's kind of like a juxtaposition of like that
folks
article
who might have just listened,
BlackRock versus what BlackRock and Fidelity are doing, right? So if the ETFs were failing, guess what? The largest asset managers in the world are not going to be filling their purses with more Bitcoin if this was failing. So I just wanted to give the folks there that juxtaposition, you know. So
and there's something else to consider. And I was talking to you guys. Remember we did an interview with Stephen Bates. I was communicating with him recently, and we were talking about the ETFs and the flow of Bitcoin. And he had mentioned something that's really important that I think folks at home ought to consider. So every day, about I want to say it's like 900 Bitcoin is printed every day, something like that. It's like 27,000 a month.
The block reward is 900-ish plus change, depends, but around there,
something close to that, right? So that's how much Bitcoin is printed every day. And like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, and all these guys who have the ETF, excuse me, not State Street, all these guys with the ETFs and stuff, they're buying way more than that much Bitcoin every single day to cover all of these ETFs that people are buying, right? So because they have to hold the asset when people buy the whatever the fuck thing the ETF. Whenever the people buy it, they have to buy the Bitcoin off of the market, or they have to get it from somewhere. Like the amount of Bitcoin that is being created is very much superseded. Is that the right word? By the amount that's being bought. So like once this halving happens in April, I think. I don't remember if the day has been like honed down yet. It's determined by block numbers, which are subject to change. So sometime in April, whenever this halving happens, like whenever we reach that magical block point, there's going to be the amount of Bitcoin that's being printed out of existence and being bought off the shelves and all that stuff is just going to there's going to be this crazy theoretically there's going to be this crazy price shift because of all this goodies and gumdrops and things. And a possibility to keep in mind, folks. This is not financial advice, and I'm just kind of speculating here. I don't know a fucking thing. I'm a peanut brain diamond hand, right? these are just some smart people that I know that I talk to, and that was an excellent point brought up by Mr. Steven. So thank you for that, bro. If you're listening.
And then Will, so the reason why I thought these ETFs were going to be such an important thing for the crypto space is literally because of exactly what you said.
Yeah,
there is, you look at supply and demand, right? Yep. How much are these guys buying up? A lot comparative to how much is actually getting printed out. Not very much at all. So this is the reason why, when you look on a chart, you're like, oh wow, and that's where it's going. Price is only going up. And so here's the cool thing to think about with that, right? This is why we have an alt season and all that, and why also the Ethereum ETFs are going to be kind of the same sort of deal. So there, people are going to go from Bitcoin down into Ethereum, and then from there they're going to start exploring, going to different altcoins. This is the reason why we're hodling on this. We're watching Bitcoin going up right now, because we're just waiting for that money to start rotating out, and it's going to be absolutely wild. And a lot of them have already taken off quite a bit, and it's only going further up, man.
Hey, remember that classroom dance, man? That's what happens when Bitcoin starts to pump. Every other single asset class starts to pump too, because the money flows from Bitcoin down to the higher risk assets, man. So yeah, but I mean, Will made a very good point there, right? Once the halving occurs, the block reward gets cut in half. So like, consider this: even if Bitcoin demand stayed consistent, by virtue of the block reward being cut in half, would inevitably push the price further up, because even if the demand stayed the same and only the people that's in the space right now still wanted Bitcoin, they're still going to push the price up because there's less supply out there. So not to mention, when you factor in all the Bitcoin that people are going to lose because they lose their keys or they send us the wrong address, whatever, right? So, just something to think about. But did you have something, brother?
Yeah, I got one more, and this is something for the folks to consider regarding the spot ETF and the futures ETF buyers. There is a difference between the Grayscale ETF, which I believe is a future, and then the BlackRock ETF, which is spot. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but there is a difference between the two of them. So if either of you know what that is.
Yeah. So spot is the company itself literally has to buy the asset and hold the asset for people to come in and buy basically a paper version of like, hey, you could redeem this for a Bitcoin type of thing. Whereas futures is literally just a piece of paper saying, oh, I think it's going to do good.
So Will, futures, so for those that don't know, futures is speculation on the future price of Bitcoin, whether it's going to go up or it's going to go down. Grayscales is spot. They transitioned. That was that's what their case was about. They were trying to transition their GBTC and transition it into an actual spot ETF. That's what the whole hubbub about between their case. Yeah. So they're both spots. But yes, the distinction between the spot and futures is spot, you actually have to hold the asset, right? So Coinbase is their custodian for BlackRock and others. And then futures, they're just speculating on the future price of Bitcoin, whether it goes up, it goes down at a certain date, right?
Okay.
Speaking of,
I've got one more thing on this topic before we transition on over, is that when these spot ETF buyers are purchasing this Bitcoin, I very much doubt that they're going to be selling the Bitcoin to go invest in other altcoins. So that's also something for people to consider, is that a lot of this Bitcoin purchasing is likely not going to be rotated over into altcoins, right? I very much doubt that BlackRock, BlackRock's not going to be like, hey, Bitcoin's at 70,000. Let's sell it all and, go buy Pepe or whatever the heck. Like, that's not what
they would get in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So these
if
guys
the
buying they're
buying
Bitcoin and they're staying diamond hands with it. They're not buying Bitcoin to go shift that wealth then into other assets. Now that doesn't mean that the people who are, the new guys entering the space aren't going to do that, right? They might be like, oh, I've got my Bitcoin, future thing, and maybe that's their intro into crypto, and then they're like, oh, I see that crypto's doing great. Maybe I decide to start like hopping onto centralized and decentralized exchanges and buying other stuff, right? But the folks that are already like rotating Bitcoin profits into other things, they might very well be incentivized to do so, like because there's new, like the ETFs. I see the ETFs as basically like new diamond hands or something like that. So
it's pretty good. Usually with the
kind of like staking.
I agree with you. Here's the thing about that too. This was part of my theory, right, on what's going to speculation into the future. Okay, so because of that, you're 100% right, Will. Because of that, what's going to happen is the people who are already in the crypto space, who are like, oh, I'm just going to stick with Bitcoin because it's safer, are going to be like, well, poking the Bitcoin, do something, please, right? They're going to get bored.
Yeah, a little stick. Come on.
Exactly. And that's when more of a flow into altcoins is going to end up happening, is because of that. But it's not only just that. Here's the other one, right? You ready for this? So Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, Solana ETF, maybe there's some sort of like mutual type fund, right? Where they start grabbing a bunch of the other alts as well and buying into
Like an
those
index.
ones.
Yeah.
Indexes, yes. So now you're opening up a new can of worms. Hence why, I think this is going to be a major thing happening next cycle. Hence why I think there's going to be a super cycle next cycle.
That's interesting.
On that note, let's say hi to the rest of the chat here. We got a few new faces. Will it be long? Welcome, brother. Always good to see you. Funkmaster Hex, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you here, sir. Let's see. Yep, that's it. So speaking of regulators, I've got another. Oh, Vic Bish, cycle.
Yes.
What's up, buddy? The bull run has the makings for a super cycle, potentially. We will cross that bridge when we get there,
Yeah,
sir. But
I don't think it can happen yet because the regulations are not here yet, and they're still talking about it. I think number one, and we are going to get into this, by the way. Hong Kong needs to be successful right now. Hong Kong is sort of like the forefront, like the tip of the spear right now onto how you can regulate crypto and all that. And there's a lot of people, including China. Holy smokes, China is just watching, like waiting to see what happens,
bro.
It's kind of like the first deer at the water hole,
Yeah. Dude, Nate made a very good point there. One of the articles we're going to go over today, well, actually, predominantly the articles we're going to go over today relates to the Asian specific countries, and then Hong Kong also, and how they're basically at the very tip of the spear in terms of the crypto regulation, adoption, things of that nature, and their role in the potential super cycle that Nate is talking about. But we'll go over that when we get to that. There's one more clip that I wanted to share with you guys. If you folks were watching over the weekend, Antoine, this guy, bro, with a $99 super chat, ordered me a badass mace.
You're goddamn right, bro. Good shit.
Nomad Willie, my dog's glad to be here. Antoine, good to see you. Hey, Antoine, rewind to the beginning of the stream, man. I think you'll enjoy what we had to start with. So go ahead and rewind a little bit, man. You'll get a kick out of it. But for those of you who have been keeping up with the Twitter Spaces, right? Our favorite SEC chair, Gary Gensler, was on Squawk Box again on I think this is MSNBC. And here's what he had to say about Bitcoin. Take a look. Oh, where's my screen share? There we go.
Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen.
You can't have a profligate central bank.
It's not that decentralized.
Well, I know you're saying because of the ETFs, but really
no,
it is.
it's not
DeFi
that
and
decentralized
everything.
because look how finance tends towards centralization since antiquity.
Right.
So what do we have? We have a handful of 3 to 6 core so-called crypto
I understand, but the asset itself, the way that
that's
the
how the
distributed
accounting ledger.
Right. That's how the ledger. And
now, how many times do you have people on this show that say, "I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept"? I mean, Joe, really? It's just an accounting ledger.
It's a ledger that everyone has, everyone has and can't be double counted. It's almost immutable. That's why people
This guy's a
think
goddamn idiot.
You trust it more than an Oracle database, or you trust it more than a lot.
Gary Gensler shouting out Chainlink, baby. The Oracle database.
Oh, God.
All right, fellas.
Dude, they're accepted
Your
by
thoughts
the
on that
bug
clip?
eaters.
You didn't. Did you see what was below it? The first comment.
Let me see.
I clipped that. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I clipped it and actually put it in our
the
community
Gary
chat.
disagrees with Gary. So that was when Gary was
Disagrees
at
with
MIT.
Gary.
Yo. For those who
That
don't know,
was so
Gary
funny.
Gary was part of the board. I forgot his exact title, but it was like a board of
MIT.
directors that promoted the education for digital currencies and stuff like that. And he taught this shit at MIT for like 4 years. So yeah, Gary disagreed with Gary. But yeah, guys, thoughts on that clip?
So number one, he literally said that Bitcoin is not as decentralized as you think. And then he continues to try and talk about exchanges. There's only like 3 to 6 exchanges. I'm like, bro, centralized exchanges? Yeah, that is centralized. What does that got to do with Bitcoin, you idiot? And then he's sitting there talking about like, oh, I mean, it's just nothing but a ledger. How many investors want to come in here and say, oh, I like the way the books look. I'm gonna invest in that. What are you talking about? That's not what Bitcoin is, you dummy. That is blockchain.
Dude, his whole argument right there is stop liking things I don't like. It's like, bro, I don't know if you noticed, but there's like, I don't know, what's the market cap of Bitcoin right now? Like two
Over
or
a trillion.
three. Yeah, it's over $1 trillion. Yeah, nobody likes it, Gary. There's only over $1 trillion invested in it. So, like, what the fuck do we know, right? It's like, Jesus, bro.
Okay, so a few things about that clip that really stood out to me, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
so,
rage bait, bro. Here we are reacting to it, giving them the energy that they want. So, hey, Gary, here's your free advertising revenue from the DGen Roundtable. All of our all our tens and tens of viewers, which we love you guys all. You're great. All 21 of you guys watching us now. Big shout out to you. But like now they're getting to hear us talk about Gary Gensler, and now we're promoting him. This reminds me of like the risk diode stuff that Richard Hart talks about, where it's like, don't talk about people that like you don't care about and blah blah. But this is funny. This is fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay, I shouldn't have interrupted.
No worries, no worries. But if you guys have the opportunity to go ahead and see that full interview, it is hilarious. It's short, it's 20 minutes long, but my gosh, if anything, GG is always good for a laugh. So two things that stood out to me in that clip. He says, Bitcoin really isn't that decentralized because finance tends to transition to centralization eventually, right? That's a fair point, Gary. I cannot argue with that. However, the question is, which one is more decentralized? The traditional financial markets that we engage in now, the central banks, or Bitcoin? Yes. Can crypto eventually transition to a more centralized nature with smaller amount of people holding most of the Bitcoin? Yes. But at the end of the day, it is still more freaking decentralized than your banks and your traditional asset classes. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this guy, bro, he's like, whoever made an investment based on the ledger system, on their bookkeeping. And I'm like, my guy, here's another example of the Occam's razor, right? It's like, I don't really want to attribute malice to GG, but at this point, it's like, bro, you taught the course at MIT for 4 freaking years. You must understand that the value proposition of Bitcoin is precisely because of like its existence as well, one of it, right? Its existence as a ledger, right? Because all of those transactions on that ledger can be seen by everybody. Can't like and it's immutable, right? Here's a thought experiment. Or if you're feeling adventurous, perform the experiment yourself. Why don't you go down to your local bank, right? To your local Chase Bank, go up to the teller and ask your teller, hey, excuse me, Miss Teller, can I please see all of the transactions that you've been involved with over the past month? Can I see the ledger of transactions that you should have? Is that public? Is that public information? Right? Can I audit and scrutinize your ledger? What do you think what do you think Miss Teller's gonna tell you?
Oh,
huh?
Man.
She's gonna tell you to go kick rocks, buddy. Right? The fact that Bitcoin's ledger is so transparent is precisely part of the value proposition of this whole damn thing to begin with, right? Because anybody can go out there and audit the damn thing and view the transactions and see the on-chain data. That's part of the value proposition, Gary. And for somebody who taught this course at MIT for 4 years, you'd think he'd know this, right?
I bet he does. I bet he does. It's all a fucking horse and dog and pony show,
bro.
And we're the monkeys, like clapping our cymbals in the audience, just like look at it, look at him go. Look at him go. You're right though. You're fucking right, bro.
Oh god, we got some good comments here. Niles coming in. Brown, good to see you, buddy. Niles, he knows better. He just paid to parrot the counter argument. Yeah, I think that's true. I think maybe somewhere down along the line, Gary got a better offer, and he think that offer was better than keeping his integrity. Right? So yeah, we'll wait and see. There's a comment here. Let's see. Something about where was it? Something about here we go. I think so. Jemmy says, I think Gary has Bitcoin. He's just trying to save face. So here's Jemmy, from what I understand when it comes to working for the SEC, because if you remember a few weeks ago, there was this hiring, well, not hiring spree, but they were looking specifically to hire somebody to head, I guess, that division of the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? For specifically digital assets, right? Nobody came forward, at least not that I know of. Do you know why? It's because on the fine print, they said you cannot hold cryptocurrencies if you applied for this position, right? It's kind of like that conflict of interest. So if that rule applies to everybody, which I hope it certainly does, if you're making that rule, then I don't think Gary Gensler is holding BTC, and maybe that's part of the reason why he's so adamant about taking this space down, right? Because he's like, shit, I sold all my BTC, and now it's going to $100,000, and I don't have any, and I can't have any.
He's the oh shit, what woman something, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned or whatever.
Oh, that's Gary. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, now don't assume the gender, Will. Gary could be a lady.
It could be.
Look at oh man, that's an ugly word.
I'm sorry to all the ladies out there that are offended by this having to be associated with the likes of Gary Gensler. I apologize.
That'd be horrible. No Money Mike here actually has a great little thing, a little tidbit. He simply says, in my experience, teachers were never able to do, and that's why they taught.
Sometimes I mean, you know, that's a bit of a broad statement, but like there's definitely some truth to that. You know, a lot of folks find themselves teaching because they're so good at doing, and then they gain the skill of teaching. But I would say that it's important to do things, and it's also important to teach things. Everyone has.
I think those who are good at
I don't think that Gary belongs in
mindset.
either one of those.
Yeah, I mean, look at the most successful people in the world, my friend. Right? I mean, they're teaching to some degree, right? They're mentoring people, because eventually you get to a certain point of wealth, and you're like, well, what the hell am I going to do with all this money and all this knowledge, right? I want to leave a legacy. And that's what a lot of these people try to do, right? Like, go through the list of the most hyper successful people in the world, the richest, the billionaires and the trillionaires. They're teaching to some degree, right? Although you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Some people, I mean, you know, I became a powerlifting coach because I was better at coaching than lifting. I could never break the records. My client sure as hell did.
Yep.
Let's see who else in the chat, man. Bradley got some hilarious comments here. Mr. Diamond, can I see your receipts, please? Yo, chat is undefeated, bro.
Undefeated chat. Chat is always undefeated.
Oh, Jemmy says, you guys should know by now I am female. I mean, for real, been around for a while. I don't take the guys too seriously. Oh, thank you, Jemmy. I certainly appreciate that, right? You know, here we're joking around. We're not trying to like explicitly offend people, right? Like, if I knew you personally and you're like, hey, can you not like call me X, Y, and Z? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, like we're friends. I can entertain that. But
did you say Z? J?
Yeah, I always say that. X, Y, Z. I've always said Z.
Huh. Well.
Where have you been, Will?
Very interesting. I never. Well, you know, I guess we don't say the letter Z very often. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, let's transition into the next hilarious thing that happened in crypto last week. This is gonna be Will's favorite. Okay. Pocahontas, our favorite Native American, apparently signs off on Satoshi and Bitcoin. So Elizabeth Warren, over the past week, honors Satoshi Nakamoto by approving the flying of the flag, of the Bitcoin flag, over the U.S. Capitol, right? And so I don't know if you folks out there have heard, but when I heard this, I was like, oh, this has got to be, like, this cannot be true. This has got to be an absolute freaking
It's got to be a troll.
And here's the thing. It wasn't a troll. So Miss Warren, Miss Pocahontas, actually did sign off, allowing Satoshi Nakamoto's flag to be flown over the Capitol, right? Our friends at GoFundMe, go fud yourself, GoFundMe, go fud yourself. Our friends over at Go Fud Yourself, actually, they were covering this, and I was like, guys, this cannot be real, right? Because they were like incredulous. So like, there's no way this could be happening. But then a little bit of sleuthing into this situation, And I quickly found out that yes, Miss Warren Pocahontas did indeed sign off on flying Satoshi's flag over the Capitol. However, what most people don't know is anybody can pay a certain amount to the office of Senator Warren and fly X flag, right? So they could pay that amount, and she just signs off on it. And so I think, at least the speculation in the X verse right now is that a bunch of the Bitcoin and the crypto maxis thought that it would be really hilarious that they would pay an X amount to have Elizabeth Warren, a staunch anti-crypto senator, if you guys don't know, to have her sign off on flying Satoshi Nakamoto's flag over the Capitol. So that's what happened there. Thoughts
Dude,
on
that
this,
would be
Nate, Will?
legendary. Absolutely legendary if they did that.
Yeah, I think I think this was just a troll. This was just a troll by the Bitcoin maxis, by the crypto maxis, to be honest. But hey, it was hilarious. I wonder if she realized what she was doing when she was signing the paper. You know, or was she just kind of like, you know, I remember like those cartoons when somebody's like at the office and then their assistants are just bringing them piles of papers and papers to sign, and they're just like giving them their Hancock and just like throwing the papers like that. Like, I'm wondering if that's something that happened to her and she just didn't realize that, oh, I'm signing off on Mr. Nakamoto's flag to be flown over the Capitol building. Maybe I should think twice about signing this one, huh? She
Dude,
saw
that'd
a
be
big
hilarious
check.
if she didn't know and then starts seeing all these news articles about this, and she was like, "Wait, what did I do?"
Bradley, with a Dre. So this one was actually this one was for real. This was signed off and stamped. So this wasn't a troll by the Bitcoin maxis. Well, it was a troll, but not that troll. Bradley says she saw a big check and said yes. Yeah. I think. Hey man, got to refill those campaign funds somehow. So. All right. That's it for the interesting news of the day. Well, we have a lot of interesting news, but that's it for the funny stuff. Now we get to the serious stuff. Let's go ahead and transition here for our very first article. And this one is, give me a second here to share my screen. Here we go. This one was interesting, right? Title of the article is How Bitcoin Benefits from Global Stresses. And I like how they start this article, right? It's very dramatic. Deficits, inflation, war, bank failures, cyber attacks, and de-dollarization. Those all sound like really, really terrible things, right? What would Bitcoin do if they were exposed to things of that nature? Well, this article kind of elucidates a little bit on it. Let's go in and see what they've got to say. So in his book, Anti-Fragile, which is actually a very good book, I'll give it a read if you haven't, Nassim Taleb explores the unique characteristics of things that gain from disorder. The immune system, for example, is more effective after exposure to a cold. Laws are clarified by suits and appeals. Software is battle-hardened by hackers who exploits flaws. Now, what would happen if you could add a portfolio asset that may benefit from global stresses that is improved by uncertainty and volatility? Sound familiar? Consider Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network appears to thrive on stress. That's an understatement. When the Chinese government banned Bitcoin mining in 2021, 50% of Bitcoin mining capacity was forced to shut down or move. Within 7 months, capacity had completely recovered, and it is now over 2x what it was prior to the Chinese shutdown. Also, guys, consider the fact that the halving rewards are going to be, the rewards are going to be halved, right? But the uptick in mining capacities and everybody buying more mining rigs, they're not slowing down, right? In the past 15 months, the world's second largest crypto exchange, FTX, declared bankruptcy, and the largest exchange, CZ and Binance, was sanctioned by the US DOJ. Bitcoin network transactions were unaffected, and trading volumes are near all-time highs. Now, here's the last part of the article. Right? Remember when the supposed contagion hit at the beginning of 2023? Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, They were, I mean, USDC depegged. So people were like, uh-oh, is crypto still in trouble? Right? But that's not what happened. The next trading day, after Silicon Valley Bank went under, Bitcoin rose by 20%. This safe haven price response was a new phenomenon for Bitcoin, and time will tell if it persists. But Bitcoin is outperforming all other asset classes over the last 1, 3, 5, and 10 years, periods that include many stresses. So, before I give my thoughts in this article, because I will ramble if I don't, allow you guys to give me your thoughts first. Let me ask this question, right? Why is it good for a system? In fact, why is it necessary for a system to be stress tested? Will, Nate, open it up to you.
Mind if I go first? All right. Well, number one, you to be stress tested, you need to know if it's here to stay, right? This is a brand new asset class. So you need to know, well, number one, you need to know what kind of asset class it is, right? Number two, you need to know if it's going to be sticking around. So clearly crypto is sticking around. It's proven itself, right? However, I don't get why people are so scared about it when it has proven itself over and over again. But ultimately, I think the more and more, and actually institutions coming in with like the ETFs and everything is proving it, where these the stress tests have basically, it's been turning into a gold, I guess you could say, where everybody knows in the traditional finance world that as soon as things are happening and there's a lot of bad things happening, you go straight to gold, right? Gold or bonds. And so what you're going to want to, what people are starting to see and what's clicking neurons up here is, hey, this Bitcoin thing tends to go up whenever there's problems in the world. And so now it's becoming that whole gold thing where they're like, okay, we're going to go straight into here now. Hence, and on top of that too, like all the big people, you know, like Larry Fink and all them big traditional finance people, they're starting to call it gold as well. But this is just something more, or this is nothing more than just simply, hey, this right here is what I know it can be. That's my take on it.
Will, how about you, sir? I think you got something good for this one, man. I can tell. Sir, you are muted.
Look at that. Hardwire mute instead of the software mute. The thing that I want to focus on isn't quite so much the cryptocurrency aspect, but the importance of testing like literally everything. You know, like cars go through some pretty crazy crash testing before they are
Read
put
my
on the
mind,
market.
brother.
Airplanes are tested before they're before they're like flown off the runway and stuff. You know, like it's important to stress test everything. It's important to test like your relationships with people, not in like a malicious way, but like in a way to determine like, are these people still on the same path that I'm on? Are we still like congruent with each other? Are we still whatever? You know, like in the red pill space, we talk often about how women will do what is often referred to in the manosphere as shit testing, where it's essentially just it's a confidence check, right? So if a dude, when like one thing that happens a lot with men in the Western world, in the clown world, is like when men get in a relationship, they start getting comfortable and they stop being the same person that they were, which like embodies the traits that led the woman to become attracted to that man. And so what women will often do is they'll do these little tests where they test if the man is still resolute. Does he still like have these attractive traits? Was he faking it? Like yada yada yada. You know, like so I don't want to go too far into it, but it's just important to test everything. You should test the locks that are on your gate, you know, to make sure that the burglars can't break in. You should test like, well, I mean, maybe you shouldn't test everything. You shouldn't test like if the button works on the nuclear silo, like when it's locked and loaded and stuff. But like you should test most, like, okay, you could run a dummy test when the nuke is not inside the silo. You could be like, beep, okay, we got the ignition thing, and then you could test the rocket or whatever, right? But you should literally test everything, because like if you don't know if like you need to know that your shit's going to work when it comes down to like not brass tacks, but when it comes down to like where the rubber meets the road and you find yourself in a pinch of a situation. So testing, the concept of testing is important, and Bitcoin is constantly being tested and constantly being stress tested and all that. So like, yeah, every time you pick up a heavy weight, you know, you are testing the limits of your body. Like if you're going for a PR, you're testing your limits, right? And I think that's just important data and important information. So my camera is fuzzy. There we go. I've seen
There we
Sloth
go.
do that, and I
There we
noticed
go.
it works. So excellent. I
But
got that from you, Sloth. Very nice.
But yeah, absolutely stellar comments from both Nate and Will, because you fellas read my mind. But before I give you guys my thoughts, shout out to Antoine with another 1999
Holy
super chat.
snap.
This guy, bro. She brings shame on her ancestors. Bro, at times like this, I wish I had that Mulan clip, right?
Oh.
Mushu was like, shame on your cow, on your horse.
Yep.
But yeah,
That was
Antoine,
Eddie Murphy, wasn't it? Eddie Murphy was that?
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh man.
Unfortunately, Mushu was not in the live action, so R.I.P. Mushu. R.I.P. Chang, because Chang was also not in the live action. Apparently, Chang was a misogynist. But yeah, Antoine. Yep. She Miss Warren definitely brings shame onto her ancestors. But yeah, regarding this article, Will absolutely nailed it on the freaking head. It is necessary to stress test things, because then you can measure a system, whether it's a person, it's a process, it's a tool, it's a relationship, it's a program, it's a product. You test their adaptability, and we only want things that are adaptable, right? For those of you who are familiar with the concept of natural selection, right? Darwin says that only the fittest will survive. That might seem harsh, but that is the reality of things. The reason why we as a species are at the very apex of the food chain is because we surrendered gut for brain, and this little noggin here, even though makes us very vulnerable when we are young, makes us very adept at problem solving. Right, and that was developed. Sorry, guys, my Asian fob comes out sometimes. Can't you tell? But those problem-solving capabilities were stress tested over billions, and billions of years of evolution. Okay, that's just one example. Will brought up the fact that when you lift weights, right, what happens? Your body is stressed. You adopt. You make adaptations to the new weight, and then you can lift heavier weights, right? Things of that nature. And so, and that applies to everything, right? You apply a system, you put a system in place, you think it's working well, something goes wrong, you tweak and you adjust and you create a new system, right? When Will brought up the example of relationships with women, right? If she falls in love with you and she's like, wow, this guy, he's the shit, right? He's a provider, he's a protector, I can rely on him. They're going to test you somewhere down along the line in the relationship into perpetuity to see if you're still that guy, right? And it's the same thing you can apply with finance, the same thing you could apply with Bitcoin. Why? Well, a lot of proponents of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, what do they say? This is the asset class that is going to replace the US dollar. We are going to become the new reserve currency. We are going to corrupt this. We are going to replace this corrupt system. My bad.
We're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna fix it.
We're gonna have a good
That's
time.
what's gonna happen.
But hey, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you make that kind of bold assumption that you are going to replace the US dollar as the world reserve currency, you think you're not going to be stress tested? You think the central banks, you think Jamie Dimon is just going to take that shit lying down? The answer is no. All right. The answer is no. Andrew Tate said, this was on an interview that he conducted after he got out of a Romanian prison with his brother. And he said to Patrick Bet-David, look, if I walk around calling myself top G, right, God is eventually going to test me, right? If you tout yourself as being the number one in all aspects of human endeavor, God is going to test you, right? Richard Hart, we got a lot of Hexicans in this community. Richard Hart comes along. Hex is better than Bitcoin. We're going to replace Ethereum. True decentralized finance. 100% perfect, flawless operation for 4 years. You think people aren't going to test you? They're not going to test your system? What's happening with the SEC coming after him? That is a stress test of the Richard Hart ecosystem and of Richard Hart. right? If you are trying to become number one, if you're like Bitcoin, trying to replace how we've done finance since time immemorial, you are going to be stress tested. And so strap in for the ride, guys, because it might seem like a lot of this, like it might seem like shit is being thrown at us left and right. I mean, 2022 was not exactly a walk in the park. That is not going to end, right? The more players enter this market, the more they're going to try and find weaknesses in the defense. All right?
We're lucky the shit even works.
Yeah. Right? And so you want Bitcoin to be stressed. You want crypto to be stressed. You want Richard Hart and his ecosystem to be tested. Because if they keep coming back after being knocked down, Rocky said, right? It's not about how many, it's about how many times you get back up after being knocked down. That was like the Rocky quote. If Bitcoin, if Richard Hart, if crypto keeps coming back up after being knocked down left and right and center, then guess what? They are going to solidify their place in this ecosystem, right? Because they will prove over and over again that they can hang with the big boys and the big girls. Right? So yeah, that's why it's important to stress this system. That's why Bitcoin has thrived despite everything that has happened over the last few years, despite every single bear market, despite every single FUD article, despite Sam Bankman-Fried, despite Luna, despite Celsius, despite BlockFi, despite the contagion, both Android 19 and the banks, right? It's still kicking, right? Antoine, bro, this guy, man. Another super chat.
Dude, I know, right? Shout out to Antoine. We love you, bud. Thanks, bro. This is
my
excellent.
man. All these juicy updates and hard work and wisdom. Throw in a super chat. Chat line action cheat codes here, ladies and gents. Hey, Antoine. Thank you, first and foremost, for your super chats. We always appreciate you here, brother. And definitely appreciate that you're getting some value out of the stream. I know we can get a little bit silly sometimes, but we try to provide as much value to you guys as possible.
Yeah, Antoine is definitely our number one supporter right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, Antoine and I think Gary. Well, no, Antoine, you've beat Gary Woods, my friend. Gary, not saying that it's a competition, but if it was, good shit, Antoine. We love you, bud. Yo, if you guys ever have the opportunity to meet Antoine down in the southern end of Florida, I highly recommend it. He's in the telegrams. Hit him up. What a cool fucking bro, dude. We partied all weekend long. Brendan, Josh, Antoine, and myself, dude. That Cardano conference. I didn't learn a damn thing about Cardano, but I'll tell you what. I know I did. I learned some stuff about Cardano. But I had so much fun hanging out with the DGens down there, bro. Oh, it was so great. Go hang out with Antoine down in Miami or nearby Miami. I don't think he's actually in it, but he drove up to see us and say hello.
Sir, Gary Woods, funding Jim. We will have him, or do we have him scheduled already, or are we still trying to get a hand on him?
He's scheduled. I can't remember the day though. Next Wednesday. That's it.
Next Wednesday. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Gary Woods, funding Jim, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. This Wednesday is going to be Whiskey Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after is funding Jim.
Yeah, he does a lot of work with Richard Hart, or at least he did in the past. He was the one. He was the one who appeared on Fresh and Fit stream with Richard Hart when Richard was there with Miguel.
Yep.
So.
Yep, it was Gary and Miguel, left and right of Richard Hart when they were in Fresh and Fit. Moonmutt, glad to see you here, my friend. Let's see. Bradley says Dr. Jarrell called. He wants his royalties from Pfizer. Bradley with the Dragon Ball Z reference there. Always good to see that, Bradley. All right, so let us I mentioned this during the emergency stream that I did a few days ago, but I told the gang, look, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is how crypto is being adopted worldwide, more specifically in China, right? And so the next few articles that we're going to go over today are going to, tell you exactly how the Asian countries are not being shy with their adoption of crypto and with their openness to making this new asset class a big part of their industry. So let me go ahead and share the next article here. Here we go. Kaboom. So, article from CoinDesk. Crypto has an unrealized opportunity in Asia.
It's your sister, Jay. Your other one.
No. This one is my cousin, twice removed.
Cousin,
Ping
excuse
Ping.
me. I didn't read the notes all the way through. Okay, you said this one's Ming Ming.
Ping Ping.
Ping
Oh,
Ping.
Ping
Okay.
Ping. I was gonna say, is that the popular one or not?
Oh, shout out to all of our Asian friends in the chat.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Hey. If you guys report us on YouTube, just remember that I have melanin on my skin. I'm a third-generation immigrant, so I am a protected class. If you report me, I will report you back for hate crimes. So, just a heads up.
I'm the. There you go.
Oh, you're funny. Okay. In the crypto world, plenty of time and attention has been focused on the United States and the actions of the US SEC. This has been especially true since the approval of spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, and for good reason. Why? They go on to say that makes sense because the rest of the world largely looks to the US, right? And what they're going to do, what happens with their economy, they're kind of like the litmus test for everybody else, right? What the US does, we follow suit. This is probably one of the first times, one of the few times in history that you can point at something that the US is doing, right? Obviously, everybody knows who's been keeping up, not just with us, but the news in general, that the US hasn't exactly made it easy for people to conduct business here if you're a cryptocurrency business, right? I think Gary Gensler has made that perfectly clear. I think this was either in 2022 or 2023. A lot of the large and major exchanges have said, guys, our hands are being tied. We're considering just moving the hell out of moving our business out of the US into other places, right? Coinbase did that. Obviously, Binance has been pushed out. So they're not really making it easy. So what this article is talking about is the fact that one of the very few times in history where other countries, other nations in the rest of the world aren't really looking towards the United States for advice when it comes to crypto, right? Article goes on to say what's going on in Asia, while at times less reported on, appears to be advancing institutional adoption alongside greater use cases of crypto in people's lives and can serve as the blueprint for other jurisdictions for more inclusive financial system. Asia is definitely making some good headway in that regard. If you guys remember, we also spoke about what the EU is doing with their MiCA regulations, right? It's not perfect, but the EU does have now a regulatory framework for crypto businesses to conduct business in the EU, right? And so once again, kind of to reiterate, here is one of the few instances in history where other countries are like, yeah, you guys are behind the 8 ball right now. And you're dragging your feet. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with our own regulations, right? So let's see here. Article goes on to say, from the standpoint of investment, user engagement, product expansion, and government action, Asia is proving itself to be a hub for crypto innovation and adoption. For example, Bhutan, 500 million recently invested to expanding mining facilities. There goes the mining facilities again, right? Doesn't matter if it's getting more expensive. People are still investing in mining. They want Bitcoin. Singapore, 75% of institutional investors say they plan to increase allocations to digital assets in 2024. That's a lot, right? Here it's 1 to 2%, guys. ETFs, right? 1 to 2%. Here, they're like, well, 75% of us are going to say they're going to increase the allocations. In Hong Kong, the likes of the Harvest Funds and VSFG have announced their intentions to submit applications for a spot Bitcoin ETF, right? And then on the regulatory side, they mention countries like Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong and South Korea taking additional steps towards clarifying rules around security, tokens, and offerings, right? Oh, here's really interesting, right? This is data reported on by Chainalysis, right? So they go over all the on-chain data. So this one's CSAO, right? The Central, Southern Asia, and Oceania is the location of a burgeoning crypto market, one of the world's most dynamic, right? Check this out. This is pretty cool. Looking at raw transaction volume, CSAO is in 3rd place, just behind the leaders of North America and Central and Northern Western Europe. right? There's the EU. Take just decentralized finance in Asia as an example, where it accounted for 55.8% of transaction volume from July 2022 through June 2022, compared to the 35% the previous year. So pretty big jump, right? Oh, here's another thing. They're trying to sneak this in there. 6 out of the 10 top countries are located in the Asian-Pacific region, including, ta-da, India. What do you guys hear about India all the time? That they're very anti-crypto, right? But again, don't always believe everything that you hear, because it seems like India is making moves to get crypto regulation and crypto adoption in that country. In addition, Vietnam, the Philippines, you guys know, you got Axie Infinity, very big in the Philippines. Shout out my kababayans. Indonesia, Pakistan, and Thailand. All of this demonstrates the enormous opportunities for crypto and its integration in the financial systems in Asia. Now, the last thing that I really wanted to bring to your attention here is regarding the regulatory forward movement, right? More specifically, right? This part right here, they speak about Hong Kong in particular, right? Because as they say, the region shows great potential for 2024 and beyond to become a true crypto hub. The next article we're going to go over is actually specific to Hong Kong. That's why I wanted to bring this to your attention, right? And the reason why that's important, Nate alluded to this earlier in the conversation, right? Because if Hong Kong is successful in becoming a central hub for crypto, here's the kicker. This may give the Chinese government a level of comfort and security in a way that's not a threat to their regime and their concerns about capital flight. That last part there is very juicy. Guys, give me your thoughts on this, man.
Ooh, I got something on that actually.
Go ahead, Nate.
So, all right. China's in a weird spot right now because number one, they need the control, but number two, they also have an economic war with the United States right now. Do you see where the rock and the hard place is right now? Because as of right now, the cryptocurrency world is taking over Asia, which, by the way, United States of America is, and North America in general, is the number one market. What's number two? All of Asia, right? So, again, there's a big war going on. It's an economic war. Exactly. There's a big war going on, but China is closely watching Hong Kong, saying, okay, how is this working out now? And they want to take the successes of Hong Kong, apply it to China, right? Which is going to be the second largest, second largest market country wise, right? It will be. But they want to make sure that they can allow for this extreme amount of money to be made in the economic war against the United States of America, in which they are trying to get away from the dollar. How are they going to get away from the dollar? Most likely cryptocurrencies, but they still want to regain or keep that control, right? So this is a very interesting spot where China's at. And as far as the rest of Asia goes, yeah, they already understand that a lot of their currencies currently, their fiat is trash.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get away from their own fiats. Obviously, the only thing that comes to mind for them is other cryptocurrencies. So no, it's absolutely fascinating what's happening right now. Because the best way I could possibly explain it, too long didn't read, is literally you have Hong Kong, and it's just like just like this. Everybody is focusing in on this one place. Yeah. That's why it's a crypto hub, and depending on the successes, the entire world will follow in suit.
Yeah, it's very important that that Hong Kong is at the tip of the spear when it comes to China. Will, go ahead. You had some thoughts on this.
Well, I think I was just gonna tap on what you were about to say, Jay. Is that like Hong Kong is like the rebel of China, like other than the true China, which is the country of Taiwan, but that's. I don't know. Maybe we might get canceled for that one. Sorry, guys, if we get demonetized.
If we were gonna get canceled, it would have happened already, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so I guess I might as well go down that road. But like like Hong Kong is like Hong Kong and Taiwan. They're like the rebels of China, and like I got a lot of respect for them. And so if they can do this, and then like the rest of China is able to see like, oh, this shit's going pretty damn good. Like, maybe occasionally like the parents see the rebelling teenager and they're like, oh snap, I should do that thing because that seems pretty cool. So those are sort of kind of my thoughts on this whole scenario.
Well, Okay, so since we're on the subject of Hong Kong and its importance, right? Let me go ahead and, before I give you my thoughts on all this, I'm going to go ahead and transition to the Hong Kong article, because this one is very interesting, right? And it will bring this whole thing to a nice and closed circle. So let me go ahead and share our last article that we have up here for you today.
Will, what the hell?
Pam's blam.
Pam and Jim from The Office.
My man. Okay, so this is from our friends over at the Crypto Potato. Is Hong Kong's push towards crypto bullish? Definitely bullish, right? So, as reported by Bloomberg, the HKMA and the Securities and Futures Commission, that's their version of the SEC, plan to facilitate direct dialogue between local cryptocurrency entities and banking institutions to share practical experiences and perspectives in opening and maintaining bank accounts. Now, this is a big deal because, like I alluded to earlier, this is one of the few instances where other countries are not using the United States as an example, right? In this case, the citizens, the businesses, and the regulators are actually on the same page. We want to integrate cryptocurrency into our country. Come on down, right? This is going to occur, scheduled here, April 28th. At the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, right? So they're like, look, we have to bring the people, the businesses, and the institutions all together so we could discuss the details of this whole situation, right? And so the meeting comes at a time when several banking institutions in the USA, such as Signature Valley Bank, we mentioned that earlier, revealed operational difficulties and were shut down by regulators. Both entities had multiple crypto clients affected by the closures, right? Earlier this week, the Hong Kong subsidiaries of the Bank of China, the Bank of Communications, and the Shanghai Pudong Development Bank have already started offering their services to domestic digital assets. Here's the kicker. Beijing's positive stance contrasts the ban on all cryptocurrency operations, which the central bank government enforced in 2021. We also mentioned that earlier. Shout out to Arthur Hayes. So they got a quote here from Arthur Hayes, BitMEX co-founder. Such a step could trigger the next bull market. He argued that a possible rally will be further stimulated when China steps in. So, taking all of that into consideration, why is Hong Kong becoming the crypto hub and at the tip of the spear so important? As Nate mentioned, the reason why that is so critically important is because China, the mainland, is looking towards Hong Kong. Remember, a few weeks ago, we went over what was happening in mainland China. There was a capital flight from their ETFs to foreign ETFs, right? And so what did they do? If you remember, can you guys remember what the Chinese CCP did?
They banned mining.
Well, not that. They had banned mining. They froze people's accounts. Yeah. Right? And so this is one of those things that's kind of putting a wrench in the gears from turning, right? China, the reason why, like you said, right, they banned mining, why there's this adamant stance against crypto on the mainland is they don't want capital to go from their products to other products, right? The US products, European products, what have you. They want that capital to stay within China, right? And so why is Hong Kong so important? Well, if they become the crypto hub, right, and they establish those businesses within Hong Kong, that means people are less likely to take their capital out of China and into other countries' asset classes, right? Whether that's ETFs or whether that's spot cryptocurrency. And so if Hong Kong is successful, then China becomes more open suddenly to accepting cryptocurrency. Maybe they unban mining. And like, so what happens? That opens up the door to what Nate said earlier. China comes in, Arthur Hayes mentioned it, that can facilitate this whole super cycle narrative that people have been touting all over the internet. Right? That's why it's important to keep an eye on Hong Kong. That's why them spearheading, right? That's why them existing at the very tip of the spear and succeeding is important for China to become more receptive to crypto in general. Right? That's why that's so critical. Guys, thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of just repeating myself and beating a dead horse, but the main idea is quite literally this.
As long as you're not beating the dead camel, I've laid him to rest. Okay,
I will leave your camel alone this time. Okay, I promise you. But yeah, no, it's again, you know, the whole thing about China is that they're trying to keep control while also having this economic war with the United States. The United States is trying to gain control because they don't really care too much about, since you know they obviously have the world currency. They really don't care about, you know, gaining that economic leverage. Whereas all these other countries around China are just trying to gain some kind of economic leverage, whereas all the other fiats are just like kind
They're
of
trying to stay in the game.
yeah, they're trying to stay in the game. Exactly. And so, yeah, you know, it's going to be fascinating watching. And again, like, people hyper focus on what's happening in Hong Kong. Okay. If you're hearing like, oh, Hong Kong's doing this, Hong Kong's doing that, focus on it. Go read it. Because that right now is like, even the United States of America is looking at the regulations of Hong Kong saying, is it working? Right? They're looking at it for our own regulations. This cycle is the regulation cycle. Okay, this is where the governments of the world and the big institutions with all of the money of the world are sitting there going, all right, how can this work? That's the reason why I think we can't have a super cycle this cycle, because they're still trying to figure out how it works. This cycle will prove what works. Okay. And then from there, the next cycle over, they're going to be like, okay, we know what works. We know what regulations to put in. This is now something that we can start kind of controlling. Push the green button. We're all in now, right? That's when the super cycle happens. And that's also why after that super cycle, I'm thinking, hey, we're no longer early in the crypto space. I think there's only 2 more cycles, and then there'll still be volatility with new things being created, new projects and all that, but it's not gonna be like super parabolic like it's been before. Hence, so yeah, that's my take on all that.
How about you, brother? Will, thoughts on this, man?
Man, this stuff is so far above my peanut brain diamond hand. I basically, like, the quick and short of it is, I agree with you guys. This stuff is all good and cool. And the bottom line up front for me is that this just makes my diamond hands squeeze strongly. So those are my thoughts.
Gotcha. Well, that is the bottom line, and
Keeping it
'cause Will
simple.
said so. Brown over here, Brown, super duper pooper scooper cycle is incoming. That is correct, sir. All right, so good. We're an hour and 23 minutes in, which means we have room to this was a lot of fun. So we've got a few clips to share with you guys. Shout out again to Paul Barron Network. He's the one that actually clipped these for us, because for some reason whenever these hearings occur, they don't allow you to clip things. So Paul Barron has always given us the sauce. Like I always say, Paul Barron's he's not a fan of Richard Hart, but you know, he can't get everything correctly, right? But he is a good resource for information. We're gonna go ahead and share a few clips with you guys. This was a recent hearing in front of Congress regarding. So there's a whole bunch of different companies present, right? Some names you're gonna recognize. Circle was there. Coinbase was there, right? They were speaking about crypto stablecoin regulations. They were talking about so apparently Hamas was not directly involved with using cryptocurrency to fund illicit terrorist activities, according to the U.S. Treasury. So big L to the Wall Street Journal and Elizabeth Warren.
No surprise there.
Oh,
that's all par for the course, man. Oh no, the Wall Street Journal got something wrong. Oh no, Elizabeth Warren has been, giving us bad information. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Yeah, it's like just, oh well, nothing has changed. They're still feeding me bad juice. I can just rely on them giving me bad juice. So whenever they say something, it's kind of like inverse Jim Cramer, but you just apply it to Elizabeth Warren and you apply it to the Wall Street Journal. You can do this with a lot of politicians. Just say like, oh.
As we watch this, there's so many. When I was watching this, it was hilarious because there were so many times when they're like, when they're asking a question, right?
Yeah.
And then the guys from like Coinbase and Ripple were just kind of like,
"Yeah,
what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with crypto. This makes no sense in my
brain." there
was
were
like,
so many times during this hearing that I'm watching all of the representatives from the different company, and they're like, I'm like, yo, they just want to be so sarcastic right now because some of these, bro, if there was an example, a glaring example of the incompetencies of some of our elective officials, this right here is going to show you, man, like some hilarious shit. Shout out to Crypto Sloth. Thank you for coming by, my friend. Good to see you. All right, so first clip here, we are going to show you exactly why crypto is good, because the law enforcement sure as hell like to use crypto to track down these damn criminals. Let me go ahead and share my screen here with you folks. Okay, here we go. Clip number 5. Let's see, 524.
That we continue to face here in DC. I want to go to another clip real quick because this gets into how law enforcement looks at crypto. Listen in.
Mr. Rabin, you were a prosecutor at the DOJ for over 10 years. Can you walk us through the process, how you used to identify illegal activity in digital assets, and touch on how law enforcement capabilities have evolved to what they are today? I think it highlights the BSA AML framework.
Frankly, law enforcement didn't know how to address it, but very quickly, law enforcement was able to incorporate blockchain analytics into its investigations. It almost was like shooting fish in a barrel. Once we saw they were using a certain transaction related to Bitcoin, they were almost certainly dead to rights. We would then immediately issue a subpoena to any cryptocurrency exchange that was connected with that transaction. And often within 24 hours, we would receive all of the evidence that we needed. Whereas if it was going to a bank account, we would wait weeks, if not months, and then have to use analysts to digest all of that data. In short, it was extremely burdensome and cumbersome to do this in the traditional financial space, as opposed to doing it in the cryptocurrency space.
Yo, he just fucking wrecked them.
He said, go fuck yourself with these trash ass questions, bitch. I'm out. Drop the mic.
Bro. Yo, like, I mean, there you go, right? If we had tried to approach this using the traditional route, burdensome, cumbersome. Here's again, I hope Gary watched this hearing, right? Because here is this gentleman from Coinbase presenting the value proposition of crypto, the value proposition of the blockchain. How easy is it for law enforcement officials to track down these criminals using crypto as a means to conduct illicit activities, because it is so transparent, Gary? That's why it was so easy for them. Thoughts on this, Nate? Will?
Bro, it's fucking beautiful, man. Like, I love that this is happening. This is because this is on Capitol Hill, right? This is a hearing. Yeah, so like these are the fucking pros, man. And they're talking to Congress like direct face to face, and it's on camera. So I don't know. Perhaps my tinfoil hat
Our
time.
lawmakers keep.
Yep. Perhaps it's tinfoil hat time. Time to put on the old tinfoilaroo and say, hey, look, they might be doing this as like a hey, this is the government like starting to soft introduce the idea of cryptocurrency. And all that stuff. Perhaps this is all like part of Nate's like perfect storm theory, where it's like, oh, how convenient that right before this like coming bull market, we start going nice on crypto and start being great to everyone. Oh, and by the way, our guy's up for re-election. Oh, and yada yada yada. Like that's my little conspiracy theorist speak there. But my realistic speech is that like, hey, more people, more money. I'm just stuff it in my pockets. So,
dude, like the only thing that happened here was they're like, he basically just said, hey, yeah, crime is in the US dollar, not crypto. And the one time we get any kind of crime in the freaking crypto world, we do this.
Yep.
And it's instantly solved.
Oh,
and
maybe.
Literally criminals are not going to go to the blockchain simply because of just how easy it is to track them. That's literally all he said. And these idiots are just like, what are you talking about, huh? What are you talking about?
Bro, I'm telling you, this hearing was full of gems, bro. Here's one that kind of got me a little bit flustered, right? Here's Congressman Lynch. Very disingenuous attack on Coinbase. I know not everybody's a fan of Coinbase, right? But it's like you got to call a spade a spade. Here's so this clip is going to be followed up by Paul completely dunking on him. All right, so let's go ahead and take and watch this one.
Missing. This is Lynch talking about Coinbase a little bit further. Listen in.
Mr. Rabin, so you're with Coinbase, is that right?
That's correct, Congressman.
And they're probably the largest in the country, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So what troubles me is, and probably one of the better run platforms that we have, probably among the best. And I know last year we had problems at Coinbase. I know your company was required to pay I think it was $100 million or $50 million fine because your anti-money laundering protocols were not robust enough. And then they required you to put in another $50 million to make your anti-money laundering protocols more robust. What worries me is if a good company is having that challenge, it makes me worry. When there are gaps among our best run companies, less a reflection on you than it is on the technology itself and how difficult that can be.
So a few thoughts on that clip and why it makes me a bit flustered. All right. And the reason why I call it a disingenuous attack on Coinbase.
Yep.
Coinbase, I think it's pretty obvious to anybody who's been keeping up with them and with this space that one of the reasons why they are not very well liked is because they're like this, right? They want to hold hands with our regulators and say, look, they've been very honest and like, okay, extend the hand across the aisle, help us regulate. We want to do business in the United States. Help us regulate here, right? That's one of the reasons why a lot of people are not big fans of them, right? Because they're calling for regulation, all right? And so for Congressman Lynch to say that they have their failure is a reflection on themselves is not a very good argument, because it's not like Brian Armstrong has not extended his hand to Gary Gensler and say, hey, come work with us, right? They've been trying over the past few years, right? And then here's another thing. The last I checked, even though Bitcoin has been around for more than 10 years, we are still at the very bleeding edge of this new technology, correct? Right? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Which means what happens when you are at the tip of the spear? It means that you're going to get shit wrong sometimes. All right? And so for you to say to this gentleman that that's a reflection on you and that is your fault, right? Like your anti-money laundering laws weren't sufficient enough. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Number one, Gensler is not exactly making it easy for them to create regulations. And number two, they're at the tip of the spear. They're at the bleeding edge of this technology. So yes, Mr. Lynch, they are going to get shit wrong every now and then. Okay? And here's where Paul dunks on this dude, all right? Here's how Paul follows it up.
Okay, I was gonna ask, are you actually gonna go that far? Because this is some disturbing.
This is kind of hypocrisy as well, because I think when you're dealing with companies like this, the fact.
Sorry, Nate, did you say something?
No, that was timing actually.
All right, see, here's where Paul dunks on Mr. Lynch.
That they are continuing to advance their technology in terms of protections is way ahead of what most financial institutions actually get to. And if you look at Coinbase's list, I had to go way down on the fines page.
This is hilarious.
And find Coinbase, that's right there. I'm kind of hovering over it. This was in 2023. There's the 100 million they were talking about right there. But I'm going to scan all the way up, and I have to go quite a ways to get into, because by the way, this is the violation tracker within the financial industry. And guess who's leading the top right there? Bank of America, 87 billion. Obviously, consider.
Bro, look at the list, bro.
87 billion. Bro, and they're complaining about Coinbase getting 100 million. What the? You're stupid. Come on, bro. What the hell, man?
Guy. If you're gonna point the finger at Coinbase, look at who's the top of the list. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Deutsche
Those
Bank,
are some really good
Goldman Sachs,
institutions. Trust them. Trust them. Trust
Morgan
them.
Stanley. You guys recognize these names? Pretty recognizable to me. So, Paul, this is what you call, that's my buddy Cars in the background. This is what you call a posterize by Paul, right? Just completely dunking on Congressman Lynch over here, man. Thoughts on this, guys?
Dude, I love it. I love it.
It's so stupid, man. Look at 87 billion. Okay, JP Morgan, almost 40 billion. Why are they complaining? Oh, you know, Coinbase, that
100 million.
We had to fine you for $100 million because you didn't in fees or fines because you didn't do a thing that we liked. And it's like, what is Bank of America doing? Holy hell, man!
I've told
Dude,
you guys
look at the average
before.
too. The average of all these banks is above 10 billion. What the hell are they doing? I wonder.
I told you guys before. I'm gonna tell you again. You gotta stop putting like logical reasons behind the stuff that the government does, because it's not fucking based in logic. It's based in like control and like the movement towards getting a goal accomplished. These guys aren't like making decisions because it's a smart thing to do. They're making decisions because they want the control and they want the fucking money. So like us using logic and reason to try and guess what they're doing and explain their actions and all that stuff is totally irrelevant, right? It has nothing to do. I mean, I love your guys' passion, and you're absolutely correct on all of these things, but it's just like, yo, they're bad guys. They're gonna do bad guy things. Come on, man. It's just that simple.
Oh, another Antoine, bro. Like, is he? Do you have like a bag of holding that's like a bottomless pit of dollars? Another $19.99 super chat from our buddy Antoine. All scrubs, the degens in crypto are the future, and you can't trust a guy named Lynch. Anyway, it's likely that they never watched the A-Team. Sheesh. Oh, thank you, Antoine. That is indeed true. Cassie Kelly here. She got a good one here. It's called a straw man argument. My dear, you are absolutely freaking right, man. That's what you call a classic straw man argument. Sloth here. Tell me how you really feel, Jay. Yeah. I have a tendency to not sugarcoat things, buddy. Because some of the stuff. Oh, speaking of, here's the next clip that we're gonna play for you. This one got my blood really boiling. So
Jay, I got it, bro. You don't sugarcoat things. You aspartame coat things, dog. Boom, baby. For those of you that don't know, Jay doesn't like sugar, but Jay loves aspartame. What I don't remember what kind of Coke it is.
I love aspartame. I like stevia. I like all the fake shit, bro.
Yep.
By the way, I got to give a shout out to Antoine real quick because he just made Jay go sheesh.
Yep. I don't think I've heard Jay go sheesh before.
All right. So speaking of not sugarcoating here, guys. So this next clip here is Congressman Sherman, probably one of the most egregious arguments from authority that I have ever heard anybody make. Take a look.
Contribute to these kind of problems. I want to go to this next clip because this gets into Sherman and Cassidy. You guys remember Sherman, but this is one for sure. You guys are going to love this. Listen in.
Please raise your hand if you will agree that if you would support legislation to make it illegal for Americans to do business with any exchange or other crypto service provider that ever uses a mixer. Let the record show no hands went up.
We trace the flow of funds across 29 different blockchains and about 70 million different assets today. So we are following the flow of funds across different blockchains, cross-chain swaps, across bridges, on all of those different blockchains.
I'm not saying you can't, but like we know that this North Korean hack that I think a number of people have said something like 45% of their military.
And absolutely fair. The speed and scale at which North Korea is attacking the ecosystem is an absolute problem. But the reality is that we are in fact tracing and tracking the flow of funds and making it much harder for them to find off ramps.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry to cut you off because I'm going to get cut on time. I come back to what I said to start. I appreciate what you're trying to do. The criminals are smart And when we talk about the fact that the global GDP, 2 to 5% of that is illicit finance, we have to stop lying and saying crypto is safer when we know what the bad guys are doing is not what we're talking about here. Illicit finance is a real problem. Let's not pretend it doesn't exist just because the place where we're looking doesn't show up.
Dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay, I want to pause there. So forgot about Congressman Caston, but Congressman
Baiting
Sherman
us.
will follow this up. So two things that really drew my attention to that clip. Russ brought it up here. No hands raised. When he says no hands raised, that's when Miss Congressman Sherman was like, would any of the companies present here, would they not do business with an entity that would use mixers? Tornado Cash. So why is it a good thing that no hands went up? Because these companies. Go ahead, Will. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
It's because fucking privacy is important, you dense motherfuckers. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, do I know where you live? No. Do I know your phone number? No. Do I know your social security? No. Do I know your bank account? No. Why the fuck do you need to know that? Like, god damn. I mean, so here they are. They're getting me a little bit heated, right?
There you go.
And so I'm giving them some energy. So I need to relax a little bit. But like that man, I don't know if the purpose of them putting out this clip is specifically to incite an emotional reaction inside me, but congratulations, they got one. Now I'm more invested in this story, even more so than I watched it originally. But like, yeah, it's just shitty questioning. It's shitty questioning. It's like he's cutting him off, not letting him make his point. He's just being a bad interviewer. He's being a bad conversationalist. Like when you want to, like, and people, you need to realize this for the folks at home. Like, you guys got to pay attention to when people are not conversing with you in good faith and when they're trying to lead the conversation somewhere. As soon as like someone's trying to force their will on you, then you need to exit or you need to overpower them. So like homeboy is in their house right now, and he can't he can't do anything about it because like he's at Congress. I'm here to answer the questions that they ask me, and then they cut his ass off like when he's trying to speak. So it's just kind of like, well, like these are just hostile answers. So a good thing for him to do, in my opinion, would be to just like, I don't know, disrupt their train of thought, or I don't know, shake them up somehow, or like have a nice, real quick little sound bite that sounds real fucking good. But they're like this dude, Mr. Caston, and the other homeboy, not Simpson, fuck, what was his name?
Sherman.
Sherman. Yeah, Sherman, the World War II tank guy. They fucking these dudes they're just not operating in good faith. And like, you guys need to recognize when you're dealing with people who are not operating in good faith, and there's only so much like leverage that you might have to be able to shut them down or other things of that nature. But this is just absolutely ridiculous. Jay, we had that chat brought up by Crypto Sloth a minute ago.
Go ahead, buddy. Sloth with a W comment, bro. Bring it up.
Yeah. So wanting privacy doesn't need justification and does not implicate one in participating in criminal activity. Yeah, this is the whole principle of like, you're not guilty until proven guilty. And just because you're doing something that like reinforces your, what is it, the Fourth Amendment right from search and seizure, like you have a right to privacy. Everyone has a right to privacy. And the whole thing about mixers is it reinforces privacy. So I don't know why the hell like they're getting all bent out of shape about that. Well, you know what? I do know why the hell they're getting bent out of shape. It's because they're not operating on logic, and I should stop attributing their actions to logic. They're trying to control, and they're trying to spin narratives, and they're trying to do all that stuff. So we're here to give you guys the truth and to separate the bullshit from the words that come out of their mouth. So, you guys probably already knew this, but here we are.
Hey, you have something on this, bro? You gotta have something. We got a very rare flare of emotion from Will, bro.
Yeah.
What do you got, buddy?
Right. Here's the fucking thing, man. Have you ever been in one of those arguments where it's a very simple, like, I win the argument type of deal, and all you're doing is trying to point something out, and people keep, whoever it is you're arguing with is continually over talking you, interrupting you from even talking, to the point where you just kind of sit there and kind of like, and you just let them yell at you. Have you ever been in one of those? Because that's exactly what this is. That is exactly what this is. It's literally them just being like, I don't care what you have to say. And this guy, like, holy crap. He's like, yeah, we went through all these chains and bridges and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes, that's how crypto works. But these guys are like, no, I'm not talking about that. It's not that you can. It's, bro, that's how crypto works.
Yep.
I'm not talking about this thing. Here? Oh, man. Sorry.
Oh. No. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead. That's
I'm not talking about this thing that describes it. The problem that I'm asking you about is totally irrelevant. You know, I'm talking about this other problem that's my talking point, and now it's your time to shut up. That's essentially what his message was right there.
Yeah. I'll TLDR it right now. It's crypto is used by terrorists and by criminals. Yeah. And then they're like, well, no, actually, it's probably one of the worst moves they could possibly make using. Yep. And then they're like, shut up, stop talking. Stop talking. It is used, and I'm gonna get timed out here, so I'm gonna tell you right now, it's used by criminals, and that's that.
And it's like, here's another thing, right? That really got me at the end of that story. Like before he said I yield, he's like, let's stop pretending that illicit finance does not exist just because it doesn't exist in the place we're looking for. I'm like, bro, number one, who the hell said it didn't exist? I don't think anybody there said it didn't exist. So please stop accusing people of things that didn't happen, right? Number one. Number two, the reason why you're not seeing it is because it doesn't exist on the blockchain, right? If you saw, I mean, the first clip that we played earlier, what did the law enforcement officials say? When we were tracking these criminals using crypto, we could track them very easily in the blockchain. The reason why you're not seeing it probably now as often as you might have wanted to is because they don't exist there. Because criminals can't move on the blockchain without their movements being transparent. Once again, Mr. Gensler, that's part of the value proposition of crypto. And that's why people will make an investment on Bitcoin by virtue of it being a ledger. A transparent one at that. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of this clip here. Mr.
Do you mind if I just add that with one last thing? Okay.
Go ahead.
Look at this. The reason why the whole criminal thing happened with Bitcoin is because of the Silk Road originally in its conception. What was that, 2010? That was it. Because guess what happened? Blockchain, it was found that blockchain, you could see everything.
Yep.
And so all of these people were caught almost instantly. And criminals were like, oh shit. Let's not use that. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. And they're still fucking arguing this stupid shit. Oh, come on, man.
All right, here we go. Mr. Sherman caps it off.
Now, none of you have ever been successful criminals. I think I've got that right. You'll interrupt me if I'm wrong.
The argument.
So you don't know what it takes to be a successful criminal. You're here telling me that the successful criminals don't understand their business when they decide to use crypto. Since none of you are successful criminals, you're not really in a position to tell us this.
Look at that Joker smile on his fucking face, dude. He looks like goddamn Jack Nicholson in the Batman movie with that that eerie fucking smile, bro. Jesus Christ. It is eyes. Yeah, you guys aren't criminals. Let me tell you a little bit about crime. You want to know how I got these scars? That's what this fucking dude's vibes are right now, man.
So here's what I mean by one of the worst arguments from authority I have ever heard anybody make, right? If you guys don't know what an argument from authority is, here's something that you might hear on a day-to-day basis. Hey, you don't have this degree. You're not, therefore, you're incapable of making a coherent argument or speaking on this nature. One of my here's another example. One of my coaches, one of my favorite coaches, right? Biolane. The other day he was talking about how menopause impacts the ability of females to lose weight on a fat loss diet. And a whole bunch of people came onto his comment says, you're not a woman. You can't speak on female weight loss. That's what I mean by terrible argument from authority. This guy made essentially a very similar argument. You're not criminals. You've never been a successful criminals. Therefore, you can't tell us how successful criminals will act.
Bro, fuck.
Bro.
We shouldn't have to explain how logical fallacies work to guys that are up on Capitol Hill making, decisions for how to run the country. But, like I said before, and I'll say it again, they're not making decisions based on logic. They're making decisions based on control. So it's all just par for the course, man. But fuck these guys.
Yeah, fuck these guys. You know, my first reaction, I'm cynical as fuck. I'm sorry, guys, but like my first reaction with him saying something like that is like, oh, but you definitely know, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh look at. Can someone pull up Sloth's comment? Mrs. Producer, can you pull up Sloth's comment real quick? Wait, is that Congressman saying he is a successful criminal and can therefore assess criminal activity? Why don't you stuff that in your pipe and smoke
Bro,
it, Mr.
W
Sherman?
Sloth, bro.
Yeah,
W
win
Sloth.
Sloth. Goddamn right. Good shit. Oh fuck. Thank you,
Nate,
Tam.
you had anything on this, bro? Should I move on to the next hilarious clip?
Go
bro?
ahead, move on. The only, when he's
snap.
talking, literally the only thing I was thinking of is like, yeah, we don't know about that, but I mean, obviously you do. It's like, tell me you're a criminal without telling me you're a criminal. Like, come on, bro. Jesus Christ.
Hell yeah,
Guys.
Sloth.
Okay, guys. This one, so the hilarity just keeps escalating. I told you it was a hilarious week for crypto last week. Here we go.
Yep.
So now, Congressman, who's this one? Congressman Flood asks about off-chain transactions with crypto. Here we go.
Next, I'd like to examine another issue we've heard a good deal about from the other side of the aisle, off-chain transactions. Can you describe what an off-chain transaction is?
Thank you for the question, sir. I think there has been some confusion. I'm not aware of anything in the blockchain space called an off-chain transaction. So to the extent that we're discussing transactions that are not happening on the blockchain, that is traditional finance. The BSA and all its authorities apply to those.
Okay, so in practice, how would a bad actor try to use quote unquote off-chain transactions to cover their tracks based on kind of what you've already said here?
I mean, you're not using them. You're enjoying that you're not on the transparent ledger and just committing regular crime.
So to attribute those transactions to crypto crime is analytically wrong.
So,
boom,
analytically wrong.
Wow.
Yo, bro, come on. How long have have the largest companies sent representatives to stand in front of the Senate and to stand in front of Congress to explain this shit? Off-chain transactions? There is such a thing. You know how we can conduct off-chain transactions using crypto? Here's criminal A. I got my Trezor. I go to criminal B. Hey, criminal B, here's the crypto inside my Trezor that you can now use. Here's payment for your illicit criminal activities.
Yep.
You know what? So there's an off-chain transaction right there. Yep. You know what criminal B is going to have to do in order to offboard that crypto and to turn it into whatever fiat he's going to want to turn it into? Let's take a guess, boys and girls.
Use the blockchain.
Use the fucking blockchain.
Yep.
On chain.
Ooh. What an interesting concept. Dude, I love that they just smoke these guys. But I bet you that it's all just kind of a dog and pony show. And like they went out and had beers and pizza after this, and they're like, dude, we really got those audience members riled up, didn't we? Oh yeah, bro, you're witty. It's like WWE, bro. This is political WWE. And here we are, the guys in the audience, like sloshing the beer around and be like, yeah, give him the chair.
Will, you reminded me, that joke about lawyers, like the only friends that lawyers have is other lawyers, and that the joke is when two lawyers, after they finish the litigations, they go and go to the nearest bar and have a beer together because they're the only ones that like each other.
Yep.
Because nobody else bro, I'm telling you, Mr. Grant here, just like looking at his reactions, bro, I think there seems to have been some confusion, Congressman. Yeah, these officials are confused, all right. It's like you could tell he just wanted to be fucking sarcastic. It's like, off-chain transactions? You mean regular fucking criminals doing regular criminal shit?
Yep.
Dude, just look. As soon as he asked the question, as soon as they switch over, you can see everybody's face just kind of like, what are you talking about, bro? You can see the gears turning of like all the very impolite jokes that they could be making fun of this guy. Like, Jesus. Oh man.
What an excellent choice of clip.
Okay. We're rounding off here, gang. I promise we're gonna end on really good notes with this hearing. But here is so the next clip is going to tell you about what we alluded to earlier about the Treasury confirming that Hamas was not involved using cryptocurrency to commit terrorist activities. So here's that next clip at 13:20.
I really understand what's happening. I want to go to another one because this gets into FinCEN, and actually, this is the hearing right here because it has both the Department of Treasury and also FinCEN both addressing the issues of these facts that have been claimed against crypto. Listen in. I've got a clip for you.
2023, the Wall Street Journal reported that Hamas received 41 million in digital assets and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad received 93 million in digital assets. Is this Treasury's assessment?
The numbers noted in the Wall Street Journal piece talked about wallets, but not necessarily the, sort of disaggregated among the wallets customers.
It's assets that people had in their wallets as opposed to what was specifically going to Palestinian Islamic
That's what
Jihad
we
and
think
Hamas.
is most likely. And we also assess that terrorists still prefer, frankly, to use traditional products and services. But
How much do you think actually got into the hands of Hamas or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad?
so we don't expect the number is very high, particularly.
I'd love to take you up on that because I sent a letter with several other members right after this erroneous Wall Street Journal report. I want to be clear, digital assets were not even a popular tool for Hamas or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, correct?
I think that's correct.
That's correct.
That's our assessment. Yep.
And that certain senators are doing, trying to base legislation on that would literally destroy innovation in this country. And I take it that you don't have a position then as to whether Treasury has an obligation to correct this record with the data that they have. It seems to me that they would.
He was talking with the under.
There you go. The on-chain data confirms it. The U.S. Treasury now confirms it that criminals, including jihadists, the Hamas, they still prefer using traditional means of conducting business, not crypto. So there you go. L Pocahontas, L Wall Street Journal. Let's go ahead and say, yo, chat is undefeated, bro. Toby Wan. Good to see you here, my friend. Hey, we're still trying to get you in the stream, brother. Hope all is well with you. And when you're ready and willing, come on, brother. We would love to have you. The Herc, he just woke up. Glad to have you here, buddy. Hesican Lost in Asia, as always. Yes, those are ashes, my friend. Almost thought Will had KFC as his back.
Hell yeah, boys.
Dude, okay, so I completely lost what he was saying because I was so distracted, number one, by the ashes, because he really did go hard on those. Number two, what is that guy's name next to him? Loudmilk? Mr. Loudmilk?
Congressman Loudmilk.
What?
Hey, man.
Is that real?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's real. Unless they're just
confused. I literally didn't hear anything because I'm just like, is that a real name?
Bro. All right. To round off the hearing here. So this makes me hopeful, right? Because the next clip here involves Congressman Torres. And Congressman Torres, which you'll notice, is he's a lot younger than most of these other politicians here. And I am hopeful because these are they're basically the next bastion of U.S. politicians, right? That they're going to take on the mantle once these old guys and gals retire. And Torres, basically, from his statements here, this guy, he's not afraid to be sarcastic. He's not afraid to push buttons. And he certainly has fingers on the pulse of the market, right? Because unlike all of the other people that you have seen speak today, it seems like he actually knows a thing or two about this space. Here is Congressman Torres, not afraid to push a few buttons.
Hell yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah, I love this dude, man. Love this dude. Completely dunking on everybody.
Is what we're dealing with.
By the way, it's louder.
Richie Torres is another, I think, champion of crypto and what's happening in the space. He kind of looks at the market quite a bit differently, and I like his fresh approach to it. Listen to what he had to say.
The essence of financial enforcement is following the money, and the easiest place to follow the money is the blockchain. suppose the Colonial Pipeline ransom had taken the form of fiat currency rather than cryptocurrency. Do you think it would have been retrieved, Mr. Rabin?
The answer is no, based on my experience.
So the question is not whether blockchain is perfectly transparent, right? The question is whether it is more transparent than the traditional alternative. Mr. Rabin, should we eradicate money in order to eradicate money laundering?
No, Congressman, we should not.
Okay. Should we eradicate the automobile in order to eradicate automobile accidents?
Dunk on him, Torres.
No, that would not make sense.
Okay. So is it fair to say that judging any emerging technology by its worst possible uses will probably lead to poorly conceived public policy?
That's correct, Congressman.
There's a quote for Will Smith who said that racism is not getting worse, it's getting filmed. And I find that distinction to be useful. I'm wondering, is money laundering getting worse, or is it simply getting filmed? Is it simply more visible? And what is the difference in frequency between crypto money laundering and traditional money laundering?
I think you're exactly right, Congressman. I can say the global estimates for traditional finance is that 2 to 5% of global GDP is associated with money laundering, whereas analytics firms typically estimate to the amount to be 1% or lower.
We know from SolarWinds that foreign adversaries can easily hack into the computer systems of both the federal government and corporate America. And I want to know, how hackable is the blockchain? Has the Ethereum blockchain ever been breached?
No.
Dunk on him, Torres.
The Bitcoin blockchain ever been hacked into?
Congressman, Bitcoin is the most secure piece of software to have ever been created by humans.
All right, so further into what's happening out there. Now we
God damn. Just
Fuck yeah.
Just
drop
ran
it.
on him, bro. Oh my goodness. And here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing, right? If there is such an instant, you know what they can just do? They can fork it.
Well,
There's a
yeah,
hack.
that's the one thing I had contention with, because technically speaking,
Yes.
Ethereum has been hacked.
Exactly,
Technically
but
speaking,
they
twice Bitcoin has been
fork it.
hacked.
Yep,
But
precisely.
yeah, you can change it right away. That's the thing.
Why? Guys, why is that? Because the blockchain is a transparent ledger. They could see, these transactions are not valid. Swoop. Fork it. Right? So I told you guys we were going to end it on a good note, right? That's precisely what gives me a little bit of hope and enthusiasm for our politicians, right? Because you got somebody there, like Congressman Torres, who knows a thing or two, right? Who's actually paying attention. You don't judge a technology by its worst offenders. You don't judge a technology by the people who use it for nefarious reasons. Because
like fire.
Apply the rule to everybody if you're going to do that. Okay? We have bad politicians, Mr. Sherman. Should we get rid of Congress? Should we get rid of the Senate? Should we get rid of the judicial branch? Because we have bad actors in the space? We have bad actors in the banks, Congressman. Should we get rid of the banks? You do not judge a technology by the people who use it nefariously. Okay? Because everybody else in the world use it just fine for honest purposes. I'll leave you guys with that. Folks, final thoughts.
Oh, dude, this has been great.
Nate, final thoughts? Last thoughts?
Yeah, my that's hotkeys. No, this is absolutely ridiculous. That number one, it 100% proves just how little these old people know about the new technology. Number two, it's proved because of how little they know. It's proving all the conspiracy theories of like, oh, they're trying to control this, they're trying to control that, they're doing this, they're doing that, right? Being paid off and all that. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we can see it now. Because guess what? When you come out with a blockchain technology that's like, hey, whatever it is that I'm doing, whatever it is I'm buying, people can see. Why is it that our politicians all of a sudden are like, wow, that's not a good thing. Maybe we should not have that. You know? Oh, this is used by terrorists and criminals. Like, so you'll be using
cash.
it then?
Like
Just like cash.
Right? Let's stick with this cash thing. You know, that way I'm able to like slip some stuff under the table, if you know what I mean.
Bro, I bet you criminals buy gasoline. Let's get rid of it.
Dude, and his whole Man, that was such a mic drop when he's like, "Should we get rid of all automobiles because and
Bro.
to get rid of crashes?" It's like,
Dunking on
wow.
him, man.
Yeah, it's
Just
like, hey, how about this? Let's not have any more fire. Let's not have any more fire because it burns down houses and burns people.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
let's
more
outlaw
fire.
fire.
Yeah,
Yep.
we don't want safe food at all. We want to eat raw meat that's more than likely going to have some sort of parasite that's going to end up killing you. Nah, let's get rid of that fire, right? No more safe food. Oh, you know what? It also burns down the environment. It burns the environment. That brings more carbon up into the atmosphere. Maybe we should just outlaw fire altogether.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen? As soon as we outlaw fire, a volcano is going to explode.
Outlaw the volcano, Nate.
Like, come on, people. Stop being stupid.
Sun my petition. Ban volcanoes.
But on that note, gang, this has been an absolutely fantastic stream. Chat is undefeated. Chat was wonderful and engaged tonight. As always, thank you folks for joining us tonight. Nate, can you tell us where the folks can find you, what you got coming in store?
Yeah. So go ahead, hit me up in the Telegram chat right there. Just simply scan that. Yeah, do you have any questions or anything? Go ahead. I do have a link that I'm going to be sending down here. It is my link tree. I am doing consultations for any questions you got and all that, as well as like all my channels and everything. I'm temporarily putting the Ascending Man kind of off to the side a little bit since we've been streaming just about every single day. A DGen Roundtable takes precedence over my Ascending Man channel, and so I'm going to be kind of putting that off a little bit until things maybe settle down a little bit, if they do, with the DGen Roundtable, because there's been a lot of crazy great things happening. We do have Whiskey Wednesday coming up, and I believe, if I remember correctly, we are going to be having Sloth on as as the kind of the guest spot. But then, yeah, Mark also wants to come on as well with the Forge to just give a couple of updates as well on kind of what's going on there. There's some improvements coming and everything's starting to pop out. You know, we do support the Forge, so that is definitely a thing. Other than that, though, yeah, Will, what's going on? Where can they meet you and all that?
So the folks at home can find me at t.me, or excuse me, you guys can find me personally at linktree/Will Stevenson, and I'll go ahead and drop that in the comments right now. That's where all of the work is that I have done. I put up a couple. I changed the link tree around a little bit. I've got a section in there for consultations as well. And it's just super simple, nothing crazy. I'm not some TA whiz like Jay, and I don't have like a whole lot of yielding strategies.
You got
like
your own
Nate.
strengths, brother. Got your own
Yep.
strengths.
My strengths are basically just talking to people and saying, "Hey, bro, what's up? What are you gonna do?" And then that's pretty much it. So if you guys want to do a consultation with me, then just follow the link down there that's in my link tree. Other places that you can find me is in my Telegram that I have created. It is t.me/hex_meetup, and I'm dropping that in the chat right now as well. That is the tool that I created to allow hexagons to basically meet other hexagons if they find themselves in a place around the states where other people are in places around the states, or anywhere in the world. We've got European rooms, we've got Australian rooms, we've got Canadian rooms, we've got business rooms for like folks that want to do business with other hexagons. Like one of the admins, Jesse, he created a really cool room for that, so I'm super stoked. We got rooms that like talk about music. It's super great. It's just a place for hexagons to go like chill and meet other hexagons and all sorts of things like that. So if you guys want to do that, head over to that t.me. There's a start here tab. Read through that little topic channel and then like get to cracking. Other than that, join our fucking Telegram. If you guys which direction? There.
You got it. You got it.
That's how I point, right? So join our Telegram, scan this QR code right here. Damn, that's really weird to think. Like I have to like do opposite. Anyways, scan that QR code down there, and that'll take you into the DGen Roundtable Telegram, and it's free for now. It's not always going to be free. Eventually, people have to put paywalls on things to like basically stop bots and imposters and all sorts of things. So if you guys get in now while it's free, you'll be grandfathered in for whenever we actually get monetized and all that good stuff. Yeah, join the Telegram. Make sure you guys watch more of our content. Like, comment, subscribe, bitch, moan, complain, do whatever you guys want to do. And Jay, go ahead and take us out of here, bro.
Oh, good stuff, fellas. Hey, thank you, panel, for joining me this wonderful evening. Thank you to the chat and for everybody who will be joining us on the replay. We know that time is your most valuable asset. And we do appreciate that you spend some of that valuable time here with us. Chat was undefeated. It was engaged. We had a lot of fun tonight. So we hope that you had fun with us as well. I know that this industry can get a bit dry sometimes. So we like to inject a little bit of levity and brevity to this whole industry. Oh, I just rhymed there. I just dropped a few bars. I'm not a rapper,
Look at
guys.
you. You're not a rapper. Super hot fire.
Oh, you took it.
Oh,
Yes.
bro,
I'm not a rapper.
I got that sriracha, bro. That's sriracha, man. But yeah, until next time, thank you for joining us. We will see you then. Take care.